Do you want to start the game again?
Welcome back to Mystical Everyday Heroes, or Meh, the D&D podcast about people who are not mystical nor heroic, just everyday folks hauling people on their backs.
That's right.
Joining us is Stephie Patterson as the statue barber, Misphi Faewilde.
Snip, snap.
Oh, it was for a good cause. So Misphi's fact for the day is she does not worship any gods or goddesses. She actually more so worships nature. Like she wants to be one with nature.
She's a Taoist.
A Taoist? Is that a thing?
Yeah, Taoism.
Wow.
He teaches
Leave it to
US
the history
folks.
person to teach us the
He teaches
things.
world
It's
history,
East Asian
philosophy.
Wow, that's cool.
Taoism,
Everyday fact?
D-A-O. Yes.
Or with a T.
Oh, T.
It's spelled either way.
Oh, yeah.
I had a professor in college that used all of those practices.
Nice.
I'm learning so much. Speaking of, we also have Matt Rail as the potential murderer of teens.
We're gonna find
Alfonzo
out.
Windbreaker.
Okay. Yikes. Yeah,
I'm genuinely concerned whether she lives or dies.
Well, at least you're
That's-
concerned now.
Yeah, about
Unfortunately.
time.
Yeah.
There was like real heat of the
I have
moment
to get
thing.
back into character for this because when we
was
restart, I'm
enraged.
genuinely like, that could die. Whoop. Cut that.
He's
Nah,
like,
it lives.
Just
it lives
bleep
for
bleep
real.
it out.
Yeah.
it lives, though
It'll be
Coco
so
may
funny.
not. We'll see.
Yeah. That's what you can write in her tombstone.
Yeah, it lives. That bitch could die. It lives, but she may not.
Yep.
Amen. Beautiful poetry.
Amen, brother.
Brother.
Okay, so Alfonso's everyday fact is as a child, he always dreamed of leading the military in his home kingdom. That was always his thing he wanted to do. And it almost became a reality.
Oh,
But-
God.
Almost. But it is what it is, and that's a story for another time. But that's why he went to military training, and that was what he wanted to do, but not necessarily what his parents wanted him to do.
Oh, no. Wow, I'm
Aw,
clutching
did
my
the baby boy
pearls.
prince not measure up to parent standards?
He did not.
Wow. Oh, that's kind of sad, actually.
Not in the way that you might think, though.
It was that
Oh,
horrible
what does that
painting.
mean?
Yeah.
It was a horrible-
Yeah.
That freaking painting
yeah.
really did him in.
That's what
It's
did
because
it.
the
The
hair was
hair.
out of place.
Yeah.
It threw off his whole personality.
True.
Yeah. Well, you can't really keep going after something like that.
Yeah.
That's cancel culture for you.
Speaking of cancel culture, Kailyn Kroll, we have as the foot skin scout, Stan Smallman.
I forgot about that.
Canceled. Indeed canceled.
Incredible. Wow. Well, Stan's fact today is that he, similar to Misphi's fact about worship, he worships the trees simply because they're so tall.
Yeah.
And he finds a lot of reverence in that because he is so small.
It's like, ooh.
And if you check his left pocket at any given time, you'll find a tiny little acorn.
Is he the acorn in this metaphor? Because I love that. I mean, it kind of makes me a little bit sad, but also I love that for him.
Yeah,
He's
probably.
just a little sprout.
He's just
Yeah.
he's just a little guy, but
And
it reminds him
with
that
a little
something so
hat.
small can grow into something so big.
And he's always in the left pocket, ready to go.
Always in your
That's
left
what she
pocket.
said.
You
That's
always
right.
got to stand.
That's
Yep.
right. Always got to stand.
Wherever you go, you always got to stand.
Take your stand.
Take your stand and get out of here.
Well, speaking of taking a stand, we also have Jake Salisbury as the sunrise serenader from Rooftops, Meryl Cheep. Shut up, that was amazing. I love that for you.
It's so good to be back, everyone.
We have been gone for a long time. I
Oh
really
my
miss you guys.
gosh. This is awesome. So, yes, Meryl is back. And Meryl Cheep's fun fact for the day is that I think Meryl has mentioned this a couple of times, but Meryl grew up in the circus in a group of performing artists. And so he grew up from a very young age. They just threw him right in because, in the theater, kids work all the time. And for some reason, nobody questions it, but it's crazy because they're so young and they're
Child labor.
They're literally working. They're doing a job.
So are there not any child labor laws in Loreland?
Certainly not. No.
The
No.
circus definitely doesn't apply to the ones that are intact.
Yeah, and I don't
They
think
fall
that
under the family business exemption.
No, I don't know that they know anything about
They
exemptions.
travel too much for them to be able to take stock of any
So they
any
really
actual
evade the authorities.
Yeah, they kind of live outside the law for real. Yeah.
There's a lot of, I will say, as the Empress of
circus
Lorland, that there's
outlaws.
like not a lot of tracking that goes on as far as the circus goes, because like they're so nomadic that there's just no.
Well, and it adds that mystery.
tracking.
Like you need
Yeah.
that mystery when the circus comes to town, you know? You have to like, you can't fully know everything about, you know, are they breaking the law? That's kind of crazy. So anyway, he always looked up to the lead acrobat because he could do this amazing trick from the tightrope and land it perfectly every time. And even though Meryl had wings, he could not land it perfectly every time and ended up on his beak every time. And he just really wanted to land that trick so badly. And he's still working on that to this day.
Sad.
Yeah.
But that's good that you have ambition.
He almost did once, but then he hurt his talon. So he's waiting to try again. He's like holding it in there. He's ready. Then he's going to get shot out of the cannon. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank God. Jesus.
Speaking of,
Someone's got to do it.
we also have Matt Bostian as our sound producer. Insert amazing sound here that only husband Matt can make. And
Wait,
me.
that was kind of good.
God, that was really good. Can we just pause for a second? That's beautiful.
Wait.
I'm so proud of you guys. That was like so improv.
That was like one of you teach choir.
yeah, it's
Almost
almost
like
like
the
when
other
you
one
teach
is
choir.
literally a bad bitch over there.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Love that for you.
So humble.
All right, shut up. Speaking of humble, this is all about me. You also have me, Empress of this fine podcast, as well as playing human fighter TJ, Brandy
Empress
Boston.
Boston.
Yes,
all
all
hail.
hail the
Long
Empress.
live.
Long live forever.
Long live TJ.
Yes, long live TJ. Amen. So let's talk about what happened last episode in Loreland, because it has been a minute since we've been together. We took a break. We did Thanksgiving. We did theater. We did all the things.
Well, we did.
Oh my gosh, did we? So, last episode in Loreland, carrying Coco on their back, you made your way to Freya's bar in the mining camp of Fellerstone. Having just realized that her dad wouldn't wake up and she inherited the bar from him, Freya offered for you all to stay in her tent or her dad's tent as she was content sleeping drunkenly at the bar. The purpose for being at Freya's bar in the first place was at the request of Mr. Regard, because Freya had knowledge of the Faewilde herb that Coco had made, or that Coco had used in order to make all of the dwarves more susceptible to being Rockefellered. Speaking of, Coco, while all of this was happening, was stashed still in the barrel in the cellar underneath the bar. During the night after Freya fell asleep, Misphi considered taking a finger from Freya's dad's Rockefellered corpse, but chose instead to take off a lock of his beard. Misphi made a glass memento for Freya and using her dad's ashes. Freya wove it into her beer and believed that it was a good luck charm. In the morning, she grabbed Coco, in the morning, you guys grabbed Coco with plans to question her outside of the city limits. Alfonzo put Coco's barrel on his back and you guys left the mining camp to head to Mama Witch, again at the advisement of Mr. Regard. On the road, Coco intentionally peed down Alfonso's back. After throwing Coco off of him and engaging in some blows, Alfonso brought Coco's health down to 0. Misphi healed him, and Stan and Meryl looked on unsure as Coco entered death saves, and that's where we are today. So,
Jesus, actual Christ.
first of all, there's like 3 things that I'm going to clarify as the DM, just kind of like outside of D&D. First of all, as a reminder that anybody who's wearing the backpack has a -2 to dexterity. That's the backpack that can hold the barrel that Coco is, the barrel that Coco is in. The other thing was that as I realized last episode, or the last episode that was not a one-shot, half elves like Misphi don't typically trance, being that they are more human in that aspect and they would normally sleep. However, due to Misphi's origins, which have not yet been explained, for some strange reason, Misphi specifically is still able to trance like an elf. So that's something that we'll explore later. And finally, one of the main reasons that I wanted to clarify is because Coco wouldn't typically be entering into death saving throws. As we know, Alfonso was very hell-bent on her being dead. So why did I enter her into death saving throws? I figured that it was only fair the one time, because you guys were currently taking care of Coco in this form, to put her into death saving throws the same way that we would do with TJ. However, at this point in time, so we'll roll death saving rolls on the table so that way you guys can all see. If she hits 3 fails, then she's just dead. If she hits 3 saves, she's stabilized. If she stabilizes and at any point in time you guys re-attack her and she falls below 0 HP or hits 0 HP, she's just flat out dead. No more death saving throws. Okay? So everybody's on the same page there?
This is a crazy conversation to be having about Coco.
Can we just acknowledge that she is
like-
a 15-year-old girl?
Yeah, this is.
But she's
Okay, time out. She's not really 15. She's an elf.
She is an elf, so it's like, which I think
not
is
really
so funny
15.
So
because
that
you
makes it better.
argued with me about the fact that like you were middle-aged as an elf, and that could mean
Yeah.
anything, but like that she was younger than you, so she could actually be 15. She was a
Wow.
snarky son of a gun, so screw her. But we will still roll death saving throws in front of the table so you guys can see and count out loud if she passes or
New Year's
fails.
Eve.
All right.
Remind us what the rules are for saving
Happy
throws.
Coco.
So to put this in context, everybody, so we are on the road between Fellerstone and the direction of Mama Witch's house. Mama Witch being the witch who is Mr. Regard's mother, who he directed everybody to.
Summer Witch.
You were holding Coco in the barrel on your back until she peed down Alfonso's back, and between
It's like every time that you say that is just bringing it up again. And
I told you she had the
she
chance.
did aim. She did aim. And
be
she was
fair,
like,
you
I'm not
were
peeing in the
warned,
barrel.
man.
So she was really honest about that. All right. So we are going to roll
Wait,
now.
wait. How far away are we from the town?
So it was from Fellerstone. You had traveled at least a few hours by the time that this had happened.
Because, guys, we forgot to get the Faewilde from Freya.
I thought we were going to like.
We sure did, Misphi. Let me tell you, we didn't grab that, did we?
No,
Well, what a perfect opportunity for 2 of us to head back and grab that. Well, maybe.
Meryl, my legs are 1 foot long. I'm not walking back there.
What are we going to do about Alfonso?
Listen,
I mean,
I'm
Meryl
not
can
involved.
fly.
I would be happy to fly back and fetch the herbs for everyone, as just out of the goodness of
We
my
just need to find
heart.
out if Coco's living or not.
Oh, yeah. She's still dead on the floor. Let's.
Yes,
Well,
we
she's,
were
like,
really improv in
actively
character.
dying.
We weren't
Yeah,
even.
she has an
we haven't
arrow
started
because
yet.
you hit her with an arrow, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe you
Yes.
you decided you were going to aim
Shot
where
to
her
the
stupid
heart.
little fingers were poking out. So we are going to roll, and I'm not going to see. You guys are going to tell me what we roll. Okay.
So what's the rules? Like, what is
So-
like?
If it is above a 10, if it's a 10 or above, it passes. If it's a 9 or below, it fails. If it hits a nat 20, that's 2 automatic passes. If it hits a nat 1, it's 2 automatic fails. 3 fails means she's dead. 3 successes mean she stabilizes. She's unconscious, but she's alive.
How many health does she have then?
She would have essentially 1 HP. Okay.
And so what if it's
Okay.
like? What if like first one's good, second one's bad?
So it goes, you have to have it'll just count towards the tally of 3 total. So if she has like 1 good one, that'd be 1 in the
Right.
pass. 1 bad one would be 1 in the fail. And you have to have a total of 3 on either side,
Out of how many? So like 5 rolls? Is that?
essentially.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Misphi's just like, wow, this escalated quickly, guys. Should we save her?
Yes,
Well-
Misphi. I really think that we probably should. I just don't know that we were done with this.
Alfonso, are you done now?
I'm
If she's
rolling
done,
death saving
I'm
throws,
done.
and you guys can decide what you want to do from there.
Okay, Misphi's gonna conjure up some good berries,
What
and
does
I'm
she
gonna
have?
give.
14.
She had a 14, so that is a pass.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give most of
can't
the
control
good
what
berries to Alfonso, and I have 1 good berry,
So
and I'm
you-
gonna give it to her. I'm gonna dangle it in front of her face. And I'm like, you're gonna give us some information.
She's unconscious.
She is completely
she's
unconscious. She
unconscious.
is not.
No,
She
she's
should
like.
be like, though.
No, she's like dead.
Like,
Like,
I don't
this
think
is whether she like her heart stops or not. That's why she's rolling.
Once she's
she said,
stabilized,
No, she's
then
dead.
she like wakes up. But right now, she's like,
Even when
she's
she
about to meet
stabilizes, she's
Jeebus.
unconscious. until-
Jeebus, is there? Never mind.
No, like
Let's not go there.
okay. So
gonna ask
for
if
other
canonically we had
context,
Jesus.
basically, I actively killed her.
Yeah.
The dice determine whether she actually lives or actually dies.
Right.
Yes.
And
that
isn't
was-
that the way it is?
which if
Very
you're
deep.
doing good berries.
That's me, Jake Goodberry.
Up to 10 berries appear in your hand are infused with magic for the
Scares very
duration. A creature can use its action to eat one berry. Eating a berry restores 1 hit point, and the berry provides enough nourishment to sustain a creature for 1 day.
So I'm going to say that because she can't utilize an action, she can't consume a good
Can I
berry.
make her consume it?
You could shove it down her throat. I mean, like realistically, like if it's a berry, then it's juiceable. All berries are somewhat juiceable, so you could juice the berry
Juiceable.
into her.
I could mash them in a bowl with
gullet.
my feet first. Then she could just drink it.
No, she only gets 1.
Oh.
I love a boundary. I love a powerful woman setting a boundary.
Alfonso got the rest of the berries. She only gets 1.
So, all right, if you are actively casting this, first of all, you had done a healing on Alfonso previously, which had used a spell slot, and that brought you up to how many HP,
I have
Alfonso?
12, assuming it's correct.
Okay. And then, so you can,
Meryl can fix this problem because Meryl would also use one of his spell slots to heal Coco.
to stabilize her.
Yes.
It's okay. I already got the good berry. Misphi's just going to mush it up and make her eat it.
All right, so we'll say for
save her.
argument's purpose that you summon it, and that you. So how many HP does each good berry have?
1.
1 HP. Okay, so she drops below 0 HP, so you bring her back to 1.
So does that mean her death saving throws are no longer relevant?
Correct, because she has been stabilized by an outside source.
Irrelevant.
All right, so Coco is currently, based on position, unconscious inside a barrel that had been thrown across and hit a tree and knocked down, and is currently laying on the side of the road in a barrel. So
The barrel's in another barrel? How many barrels are there?
it's a
Barrelception.
barrel of fun. Stan and Meryl are currently watching you two, moderately concerned from what I remember, about your sanity.
Only moderately.
As we go through, but you did say that you wanted to give Alfonso some of those good
So
berries.
he
'cause
gets
you can
9.
So you get 9. Okay, so
I only need 4.
Oh.
You can have the rest for your pocket. Put them in your
They
left
only
pocket.
last 24 hours. So
well, keep it. Well, I would say keep it in your pocket then until you know what's
But they'll
coming
get
around the
smushed in my
pike.
pocket.
Fine.
You tell
I'll put
him.
them in my
You
pocket.
live your best
Hello.
life. I don't know.
Do you want me to put them in my pocket?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Use them for later.
He's got former
Because I'm
noble
sure she'll pee
pocket.
on you
We're going to have to cut that.
If she pees on me again,
Cut it all.
dying. Like when she wakes up, we will have that conversation.
Yeah, is she awake?
No, she is currently
I'm wide
unconscious but
awake.
stable.
So she's unconscious
like how
still,
you
but she's
said
alive.
Yes, Coco is unconscious, but she is still alive.
So does that mean we have to
Is
get her out of the
she-
barrel to shove the berries in her mouth?
No, we'll say that for arguments purposes, that Misphi was able to essentially pull the top off, shove the berries in her mouth, and then if you want to close the barrel up again, you can. And we'll say again, it was singular berry, and you were like juicing it essentially.
Can I
to
slap her awake?
Oh, I think she's
Okay,
been through
okay.
enough today, Misphi.
Meryl is clutching his pearls. He is just like watching a gag.
Alfonso is
A gag.
since watching her almost die, realizing the potential gravity of that situation, did come back off of like his he wasn't like
His high horse?
enraged. Wow. He wasn't like D&D like rage because that's a thing.
Right.
But like he was very enraged in general. So he is now back and level headed. Which doesn't happen very often where he gets that angry, but he was quite angry.
Would you say he was pissed off?
He was pissed on, and that was the problem. So basically, Alfonso's like, all right, like, let's shove the berry in her mouth and like, let's keep rolling this on. Also, someone else can carry the stupid barrel.
I got her. Listen,
Okay.
I got her. I can handle a little bit of piss. I think that we should make
That's
it
an odd thing to be able to do. I can handle a little bit of piss.
Well, most of us could handle a little bit of piss without trying to kill someone, Alfonso.
To be fair, she drenched my coat.
Oh, she was a full one, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't believe we have to have this conversation. Stan,
You and
you
me
can
both.
carry the barrel.
You got
All
it.
right,
All right,
let me
let's
put
keep
the
going.
top
So-
on it first.
Stan, because you are how tall are you?
Oh, well, Stan, to be exact, is 4 feet tall.
All right, because Coco, and we
look
already
that up.
established that it was really difficult for you to lift her, I'm going to say that you need to make a strength saving check, or I'm going to say you need to make a strength check to see if you can hit DC 13, to see if you can lift her using the backpack situation.
17.
All right.
Wow.
Big strong Stan.
You a tough guy.
Stan.
With my modifier, it's a 20.
Just strong
Wow.
guy.
That's a
So
dirty 20.
you,
He's really small, but he's so jacked. It's like disturbing.
yeah, with seeing
Squaggles.
Alfonso lose his cool
Squaggles.
and realizing you may be their only hope to be able to carry this girl, you manage to like get the base onto your back and have Alfonso hook the barrel onto where the Coco barrel normally is as you guys continue on. Coco is currently unconscious until roused to a different situation, but currently at 1
Roused.
HP.
Steffi.
I'm going to choose not to rouse her for now. I think I'd like to go meet the witch, see what she's got to say.
All right.
Seems like something she's got a little more
But
expertise
we still
than
don't
I.
have the Faewilde.
I thought we didn't need it. I thought she'd just be able to tell us what it is. Like she knows. Doesn't the witch know about it? Weren't we told that? Do we need to bring it with us? This seems like a logistical problem.
She's a witch. So
Who are you
I
talking
wish she
to?
would have come across Faewilde before.
But do we need to bring it to her? I've kind of forgotten, to be honest, in all of the chaos that's ensued.
Pausecast, Brandy, do we need to bring the Faewilde? Did I say it right?
What the hell's going
Do we
on?
derail your whole campaign for this Faewilde?
So here's what I'm going to say.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Oh, no, the answer is yes.
So here's what I'm going to say.
Can we just like say
You
we
guys
perfect
have been
it?
traveling for roughly half a day.
Oh, God.
TJ reminded you while you were at Freya's that you needed to ask Freya about the Faewilde, specifically to bring Faewilde to Mama Witch.
Did we ignore TJ?
You completely ignored TJ.
Oh my God, this is humiliating.
And you continued on.
No.
So now at this point, you are like, I want to say like at least half of the way to Mama Witch's, which is a day-long journey. And if you were to stop and you were to try to backtrack, you would do random encounters to see what sort of craziness you encounter in the woods while
Ooh,
somebody is trying to go
fun.
back to get some sort of crazy Faewilde situation on your way to Mama Witch's, because it's roughly high noon.
Oh,
Oh, guys.
This is the most classic. I mean, guys, come on. What a crazy thing to happen.
I think it was my finger incident
Stan, we're...
threw us all off.
You had a finger incident? Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
She
with
ran
Freya's
off.
dad.
Well, I think
Darn.
maybe we could all agree that we owe TJ a little bit of an apology.
Teej, I'm really sorry, man.
We're sorry, Teej.
Oh, you know, I get it. It's okay. I'm just like kind of a quiet voice in a loud room, but I just want you guys to
That's
know
pretty
that like
deep, TJ.
Yeah.
I'm like dipping from the well of deepness.
Oh.
Mostly because I had some of Freya's coffee and I think it might have been laced with some stuff. Is pretty dope. Anyway, so like, you know what? It's fine. I figured you guys would make your own choices and I'm just really along for the ride, you know?
You do realize you're a part of the group now, and you should have. This is where you should have practiced your leadership skills.
Well, we haven't gotten that far yet in training, Alfonso.
Oh,
Listen,
well,
we've
Let's
Yeah.
not put the blame on TJ.
Yeah, we
all
we
didn't
should have
listen to him.
listened. We should have and TJ, you deserve that because you've got the best pants around and we really appreciate you.
I have the best pants around.
I mean, you really do. I think we could all agree on
I
that.
wet my plants just thinking about you.
We're grateful. That was not the direction I was going,
tear
but
forms in TJ's eyes.
we do care
as you
deeply
acknowledge
about
his
you,
pants.
TJ.
And he just like puts his very sweaty palms and like strokes the outer of his thighs and just like, you really like my pants, Meryl?
TJ, we're just happy to have you along.
Oh, thanks, man.
keep it together, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's problem
Good.
solve. Problem
So
solve here.
could
What
we
are
maybe
doing?
hang on? So there are a couple of us here that really love nature, and Misphi and I both we connect with the earth. I'm in the
She's
sky
mine.
and she's
And
yeah.
Stan.
No, that's not
Stan
what I'm
loves trees.
saying, TJ.
That's
yes,
right.
and Stan loves trees. So quite a few of
And
us
I'm
here.
a wood elf.
Yeah, true. So
You're
we
made
all
of
have a
wood.
connection to the
That's
earth.
not how that works.
Wood. So what could we just forage for some Faewilde in the
find it?
forest? Could we find it in the woods
But
around
don't
where we
know what it
are?
looks like.
So what I'm going to say, because this is an elven herb, that
Herb.
specifically the elven or half elven among you would need to roll for it with a DC 19
Wow.
nature check.
Well, you could
Or
try.
a survival check.
All
So we'll
right,
say
let's
nature
do
or
this.
survival.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna look around.
Can I go for survival?
Yeah, you
I
can do it
got a
either.
20.
What the actual hell?
She did. I'm looking at it right with my two eyes right now. Nat 20.
That is
Wow.
incredible. You saved.
Yay.
Oh, hail Misphi.
I guess it doesn't matter. We don't need to listen to TJ. Thanks,
Okay.
Misphi.
That's what we learned from
Guys,
this.
I just found some.
She bends down and picks it up off the road in front of us. Whoa, what's this?
She was like, oh, hey, guys, look what I found.
I mean, it's a little bit hurtful, but I mean, I guess you're right. I'm just along for the ride.
No, TJ, I'm just kidding. We're happy to have you. And then Meryl picks him up and gives him a nuggie.
I love you.
Oh, my
this
God.
is great. I love my hair being in 14 different directions.
And then Meryl flies straight 20 feet up.
With,
Oh
with
God,
TJ?
Yeah.
Meryl, we haven't really talked about consent with height. I feel like we should have this conversation maybe on the ground.
Teej,
And then
are
he
you
puts him
afraid
down.
of heights?
No, I'm afraid of Meryl a little bit. He's just very involved with me at the moment.
Merle, get down here with Tej. He's a little
I already
bit.
put, I
Thank
already
you,
put him down.
Stan's
He's
my
down.
best
There
friend.
he
You
is.
should
He's
listen
down.
to
I'm
him.
sorry. Thought it would be fun, you know, just messing
Tej,
around.
how you doing?
I have to pee.
Don't pee on Alfonso.
Yeah, he'll kill
Careful.
you.
Be warned.
Yeah, It goes
Alfonso
without being
doesn't like
said.
piss play. Sorry, cut that.
We have to drink every time. We make
Every
a fun.
time somebody talks about pee is a shot. Misphi found Faewilde, I guess, on the side of the road. Just where anybody could pick it up. But this is an elven herb, so literally only elves or half elves can accurately pick it out of a lineup, because it is something that only somebody who has that level of visibility to their eyesight can find. And Misphi was able to find it.
And I was a forager back in my
Effortless.
village.
Meryl is really impressed because Meryl loves nature and like is really good at identifying plants, and Meryl had no idea where to look. So
TJ,
super
on the
impressed.
side of the road. It was right there.
I
Alfonso
thought it was supposed to be
thrilled
rare.
that he didn't have to try to find it. Like he was like, if this was a nature check, he was gonna lose for sure. He has a +1, and he can hardly identify trees, so he was not ready.
Is that a tree? Let me think about that one.
I think it's an oak.
TJ was looking at it and
And
he's
he's like, that looks like a really great mushroom, babe.
and it looks absolutely nothing like a mushroom. It looks
does it look
very
like?
much looks like a flower.
Yeah, what does it look like? Describe it.
It kind of looks like
detail.
if you were to picture what buckwheat looks
Sorry.
like, it looks a lot like buckwheat.
That's what I saw too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just found it. So
I need to Google.
I know exactly.
Isn't
what it looks
buckwheat like
obviously.
wheat?
You know, I don't know. It was a nickname given by one of my stepfathers. Hold, please.
This is what buckwheat looks like. It's like white.
Oh yeah. That's
A
what I was
beautiful
picturing
flower,
too.
Yes.
I was picturing just like a flower on the ground, like generically a flower.
that.
Generically, a flower is
Honestly,
crazy.
I was
That is
picturing
Faewilde.
wheat.
Like a rose, like a daisy.
It
It
has
has like a dandelion.
It has petals and green leaves.
It has petals and a stem.
I just like the amount of nat 20s that Misphi rolls that just changes the campaign forever.
This is not the first time.
Boggles my mind.
So do we have to now skip
Still
over
have
a bunch
somebody
of what
go
you...
back and get it if that was your plan. Was that your plan?
No, I was planning on you dealing with the consequences of like screwing around and ignoring me 100% and seeing what that looks like from a very
You know what we
bitter
just learned,
level.
guys? We
There are
no
no consequences.
Damn it!
That is the title of this episode.
No consequences.
Damn, and that is your worst nightmare as a teacher. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Brandy. Not sorry.
That's okay.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
All right, so as you guys scavenge for Faewilde from the side of the road, thank you, Misphi.
You're welcome.
Hauling an unconscious teenager elf on your back.
Wouldn't be the first time.
You make your way.
You'll have to tell me about that sometime.
Well, essentially there's woods on either side of you, and you guys continue walking through for roughly another 7 hours. It's a very
That's a
long
long time.
trek.
That is a long time.
There's very little between Bridgmond and other settlements further ahead. You can see that there were like different carts that have kind of crumbled through just like general misuse over time that have been kind of left on the road unrepaired, and the people who accompanied them had hitched a ride with other people. But this is a well-used road that you've seen like maybe like 3 or 4 people use during the day. But again, people in this neck of the woods tend to just ignore other passerbys and just very focused on what they're doing. So they really didn't spare you a passing glance other than looking at Meryl as like an Aarakocra being like, what the actual hell is this
What?
human? Like,
You're a
humanoid?
bird, man.
I'm not a bird.
Well, they seem to think so.
These strangers were very confused and they were like, that'll be something we say around the dinner table tonight. So
Why the
as you
dinner
guys,
table? I don't like it.
As you guys go on, the sun
What
is
if we're
dipping a
having
little
eggs?
bit lower in the sky. It's not quite sunset. And you see a clearing through the trees where the trees kind of just naturally end their general passage. And you see a very rough-hewn sign that says healing herbs and healing words on the right-hand side. And further
that.
ahead, you see a building on the left where there's another sign that you can't quite make out yet. But on the right, you do see a small cottage that seems like kind of unimposing with like a small garden next to it, next to the healing words and healing herbs signs. So what do you do?
Well, we've made it this far. I think we go meet the lady. What do you think, Meryl?
Well, I've always wanted to meet a witch. I've met a lot of folks, but I've never met a witch.
And I'd really like to wash my clothes.
I got the Faewilde.
Tej, what do you say? You want to lead the way?
Really?
Yeah, I think that you have really, you've deemed yourself worthy over the last 24 hours, and we owe you big time. So why don't you go in first?
Show us the town justice that you are.
She just like really like squares off his shoulders and he just like walks with purpose to this
And his
very
wet spot.
small hut.
This purposeful wet spot.
And
Dang,
he
your
kind of
pants is the
like
coolest.
adjusts his pants so that way like it kind of swaggers with him. Like, you want these pants. And he walks
Breathing
up
through it.
and knocks
The confidence.
3 times on the door of this very small cottage. So as you guys huddle around this door, it's a small cottage. When I say a small cottage, I want you to picture kind of like Hagrid's hut from Harry Potter.
Hagrid.
You know, it's very small. There's a chimney with smoke coming out of
Humble.
it.
Cutesy. Demure.
Very
Demure.
demure. It's cobblestone, very like, and you can see like the cobblestones from it. The stones have come from the earth around the area. It was very much hewn from the world that is surrounding this area. It was not something that was like
river rocks.
very expensive. Essentially they were smaller. And the wood of the door is like the same kind of wood that the trees are. So as TJ knocks, you hear a muffled like, and
Well, this doesn't sound good.
wrenching open the door, the first impression that you see is a dwarven woman with pinkish reddish hair
Queen.
in curlers.
In curlers.
In curlers.
All right.
With a pinkish reddish beard, also in curlers.
Yes.
And she's like, what do you want? I'm a little bit busy. Can I help you? Do you need herbal remedies?
So you know Featherstone down the road a ways?
I'm
You're so-
familiar. Oh.
Beauregard sent us.
Oh,
He sends his regards.
He does.
Oh, this one here's got a sense of humor. My bouncing baby boy, how is he doing?
Better now, but they've had better days prior. Have you heard of the Featherstone curse?
Oh, I'm very aware. My son has checked in with me, seeing if I could find the root cause, and I'm sad to say that I'm not able to figure it out.
Well, good news is we think we've sort of we found some clues, and we'd like your help. What do you know about Faewilde? We have a sample here if you can help us out.
And Misphi holds it up.
She found that.
Wow.
It was
I
pretty
found
cool.
Naturally.
On the side of the road.
It just grew there. Weird.
I don't know. It was fate.
Wow. All right. Well, yeah, I suppose. Come on in. Come on in.
Thank you. We're just so excited to meet you.
Well, oh my goodness, Meryl Cheep. It is so good to meet you.
It is
as well.
wonderful to see you as well.
Wow.
Do you know Meryl?
Well, in a sense, and as
know
you
of
see
Meryl?
her,
Oh, some people do, and some people don't, and that's all right. Yeah, some people, yeah. I mean, a couple of people know who I am. You know, I'm the Birdman. I do that flip.
There, you are the bird
thought
man.
you
If
were-
you've
a
never
bird.
seen, I'm not a bird. Birdman is what I said.
Oh. I thought it was like, you're a bird.
No.
man.
No. So you added the punctuation, it changes the meaning.
We really got to work on
Learned that in
marketing, girl.
circus school.
Circus school?
Anyway,
as you guys are having this conversation, roll. Actually, I'm not even gonna have you guys roll perception, but as you look over at Mama Witch, you notice her eyes have gone almost like a milky white color as she stands and like completely still and just kind of sees without seeing. And as you guys wrap up this conversation, she shakes herself out of it and her eyes go back to her normal brown color.
Are you
And
okay?
she turns to you, Misphi, as you say, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Oh, Misphi. Misphi
That's me.
Faewilde. The misfit of Yorkwood. Wow, little wolf, you've grown so much. My
Auga.
goodness."
you didn't tell her your last name.
No.
No one, we never
How do you
introduced
know
ourselves
me?
at all.
She just kind of turns and takes both. Mind you, she's like 3.5 foot tall, and she grabs your forearms with like the strength of a full grown man, and she looks into your eyes. And as she looks into your eyes, she says, "Oh, my little wolf, you've been hurt before in so many ways.
Misphi starts tearing up a little bit.
I can see how you try to shrink away from connection, like a pup with a thorn in his paw. But you realize it's a fundamental truth about yourself that you'll always be scared, little wolf. Wolves belong in a pack. You seem to have found yourself.
I
a
found
pack.
my pack. But
now,
how do you know me? Are you a seer?
am I a seer? Oh, sweetheart.
looker?
Mama Witch is a looker.
And I hardly know her.
My little misfit, you should never ask if a woman's a looker, you know. You see. And she pulls the curlers out of her beard and out of her hair, and she fluffs her perm. And she's like,
Just perma.
Wow.
"You see me, don't you?"
Beautiful. I love the curls. Go great with that pinkish reddish. So pretty and bouncy.
She gets like a cute little pink to her cheeks that matches the obviously dyed hair and beard. And she is like, "Oh, my little misfit. Oh, darling, you're such a flatterer. Now listen to me." And she looks into your eyes. She's like, "You better be part of that pack. The only way that you're going to get any strength left in your body is to be part of that pack that you call home now. You can't separate yourself no more. It just don't work." And then as she
Yes,
says
ma'am.
that, she turns around and looks back at the rest of you and says, "Well, go on, sit." And as
Misphi sits like a dog.
Meryl sits very gently and looks very suspicious.
So I'm going to explain the room as you see it right now. Okay. So first of all, you see Mama Witch. She is a dwarf. She has pinkish reddish, curly permed hair. It is very floofed. She's constantly like taking her fingers, her very long, manicured nails and floofing it a little bit, along with her beard that has like a perm in it. And she's also like, it's also pinkish red. And you see around you a very large curtain kind of separating the space. But on this side of the curtain, you see two boiling or simmering cauldrons, one of which has like a reddish, dark purple or darkish potion to it. And then you also see one that's almost like a brownish black boiling potion. And then you also see something like where she had previously had on like a kettle on the stove. She has a hot pad around the handle of something that's sitting on the table that you can see that has been recently pulled from the fire that is still an active fire. And it's no longer simmering necessarily, but it is still steaming. That's more of like a pale green color. So you see that on the table. You also see kind of a kaleidoscope on the walls of like different plants and bleached animal skulls that seem to just kind of be like popping here and there. But aside from those random artifacts, you do see just like essentially a normal living space for a little old dwarven woman, where it's just comfortable living spaces, essentially what you would picture like a hobbit hole almost.
I'm picturing her as like a drag queen based on your description that you just gave me, like a really tiny man wearing beautiful clothes.
She is, but she's a woman. She's a very masculine
No, I know, but that's
female.
just like the way
yeah.
that you described it. I got drag queen. I loved it. I just
What's her
loved
name again? Did we say?
Mama
Mama
Witch
Witch.
is how you all know her as,
Got
but
it.
she has yet to actually introduce herself.
Well, Mama Witch, thank you so much for having us in your beautiful home. We're so grateful to meet you. We really need your help.
Oh, Alfonzo. It's so good to hear you, of all people, say
Alfonso?
that. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Sometimes the visions, it kind of blurs and you're all together, and I love that for you.
Do you now?
I do. Oh, and she turns to you, Alfonzo, actual Alfonso. And she just looks up at you with the way that, like, a small child looks at Santa and just says, Alfonzo Windbreaker, friend of the Crick Elves. I've been looking forward to meeting you.
The pleasure's all mine.
Oh, you are such a kind heart. And I'm sorry for all that you've had to sacrifice in the sake of home in order to be here on this journey. But man, I gotta say, it's so lovely to see you here in my home. So many of the Crick Elves have been singing your praises. It's so good to see you.
Well, thank you.
Now, it is my duty as a somewhat of a seer, as Misphi pointed out, to say that there's going to be a time, because they do need you at home in Aerith. There is still a need for you among your people, but if you want to go back, you need to know that even though there's a need for you, there's not a role for you there. And you need to be prepared that if there is a need for you without the role that you always thought you would fulfill, will you still fulfill that need, even if it's not the role you wanted?
Only time will tell.
You're such a sweet boy. She pats your hand, and she's like, now, who wants bourbon? I really would love some bourbon pecan pie. Anybody else?
I'm not going to turn that down. That sounds fantastic.
I am starving.
I could use a drink.
Lovely.
It's been a long day.
It sure has. I'm sure for you all, most of all. Alfonzo, if you need to clean up, now, meaning no ill hospitality, but you do sort of smell a little
Thank you.
funny.
I was going to ask, but I was going to wait till we had finished our pleasantries.
Well, nothing pleasant about that, so
Yes.
got to get it out of the way.
Alfonso is looking for the washroom.
So as you start to like look around, you see that she takes the curtain that is kind of covering essentially half the room, and it's like there's just this dark basic fabric that has been kind of woven together over time through like different leathers and stuff, and she pulls it back and you see an entirely different sort of cottage on the other side of this curtain.
Wow.
So on the other side of this, you see a lot more of almost almanac sort of stylings where there's a lot of books, there's a lot of potions, there's a lot of inks and pens, and just a different array of things, different drawings of different plants. And she points kind of towards the back end of the cottage where there's like a room with a curtain covering essentially a chamber pot. And she's like, you're going to be looking right through there, good sir.
Well, thank you, Mama Witch.
Oh, sweetheart, you can call me Popolina. My name is Popolina. My girls call me the Pope, but you can call me Popolina.
It's the Popo.
The Pope. Wow. But does she have a big hat?
Oh, Meryl, you don't know the hats that I have. You should see my closet.
Now that would be an honor.
Now, she turns to Meryl as Alfonso kind of makes his way to the back to clean up all of the pee that's covering him. And
There's a little bit of a walk of shame in Alfonso's step. Like,
Shame.
yeah.
Shame.
His head's hanging down a little bit, and like as he gets close, like he takes his jacket off and like fiddles with his hair a little bit, like just kind of like in disgust, but also some relief that he can finally peel these clothes off and wash them.
so as he does that, you guys see that Mama Witch, in addition to like kind of her hair and her face, which is immediately the first thing that you notice that she's wearing a long, like not a wizard's robe kind of vibe. It's more of like a very floral homemaker's robe.
Oh,
And she is holding a wooden spoon that is almost as tall as she is. As that you can kind of tell from the tip of it how it's stained that she has been using to stir the various potions in the cauldrons. And she takes that spoon that's pretty dried now and she smacks Meryl on the butt. And she goes, excuse you, Meryl. Now, I happen to know that sometimes the loudest of voices cry the softest. I don't think you of all people need to be mocking Mr. Alfonso over there. Now, do you?
Meryl is literally frozen in shock.
And actually speechless? Like
For once, actually speechless.
This has never happened to you before, Meryl. Speak up.
Shut up, Stan.
What?
And then he just kind of rubs his butt and he looks sort of rueful. He's like, I'm sorry, Mama Witch.
I understand. Showboating is just that. It's for show. Now, you listen to me and you listen good, Mr. Meryl. So she turns to Meryl.
I imagine that Mama Witch's dress or like robes or whatever looks similar to the back of your notebook.
They're very loud floral colors. And as she like looks at Meryl, he is so much taller than her. She kind of yanks one of his feathers and like grabs it so that way it like physically hurts him. So he kind of like is forced to double over in pain.
Ah!
Now, you listen and you listen good.
Okay.
I am sick and tired of watching you with your crew over here, knowing that you have all of this inspiration to give. It's bardic or otherwise, but you have inspiration. And I'm not just talking about that coat of yours. I know how proud you are of that coat of yours. I'm talking about the fact that you are an inspiring voice in a very quiet room, Mr. Meryl Cheep. And you choose to use that to showboat and to show off. And instead, you could be giving inspiration to all of your peers here, and you choose to refrain. I don't understand why, but you listen here. I can appreciate the secrets that you keep. But what I can't appreciate is you holding out on the people that you call your teammates. Do you understand me?
Meryl was very tense when he got pulled down by a feather a moment ago. But he's like softened a lot and he's like looking very serious and he just says, thank you.
Now you're welcome. Now go help yourself to some bourbon. You've earned it. There's only so much bourbon pecan pie.
Alfonso
All the
overhears
kids
bourbon,
cheer. Hooray!
And while his jacket is soaking, he comes out of the washroom to then be like, Mama Witch, is the bourbon over here?
Yes, and the bourbon's over here. Take a teaspoon of it and drizzle it on top of the pecan pie now.
Now that sounds
My
incredible.
pleasure.
I will be doing that.
Excuse me, Miss Mama Witch. I don't mean to be unhospitable, but there is another one of us here that I don't know that you've met yet. And Stan rumps the backpack off of him, and Coco kind of like tumbles out because the lid was only as secure as it can be with a 15-year-old inside.
And Mama
The
Witch,
appearance of a 15-year-old. She's not actually
Right,
15.
correct. That hasn't been verified.
Mama Witch grabs a nearby glass of bourbon that she had pre-poured before you guys
Yes,
got here, and
pre-pour.
she's like, Now, absolutely. Now, young man. And TJ says, yes, ma'am. Hi, my name's Town Justice, but my bros call me TJ. And as you see him like really square your shoulders, really proud of this, she takes her spoon and she smacks him right on the butt. And she's like, do I look like your bro?
Whoa.
I am not your bro, Mr. Town Justice. Now you listen and you listen good. And she reaches up on her very tippy toes and she grabs his ear and he's like, oh, yes, ma'am. And she says, now you listen. Your name, as given to you by your forefathers and your forefathers before you, your name is Town Justice. Now you use that name or that name will use you. Do you understand? He's like, yes, ma'am. Miss Mama Witch Paulina, I'm so sorry. You don't have to be my bro. I have plenty of bros. Yes, I'm Town Justice. Town Justice who? I'm Town Justice Merriweather. That's right. Now you listen. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You listen. Now, you are Town Justice Merriweather. Now, that uncle of yours, he ain't good for not a lot, but he did have the good sense of putting you in his employ. You've got a lot that you can show, and I expect that you are going to be showing it. Am I clear?
Ooh.
Yes, Miss Popolina. Yes,
Wait.
Miss.
Misphi's getting way too excited over here. What is she doing?
Things are getting
100%.
strange.
I don't even know what bros are. Yes, absolutely, Miss Popolina. Yes, my name is Town Justice Merriweather. And she turns to Stan, who brought this whole grouping into fruition. And she says, Stan, Mr. Smallman, did you get some bourbon?
Oh, well, not yet. I've got to say, I was working up quite a sweat with that backpack on, but now that I've got the headspace, I think that's my next step.
Well, hold off. I gotta have some words with you.
Oh.
And she grabs you by like the elbow because she's essentially your height, and she pulls you off to the side so as like not to share your conversation with everybody else. It's everybody else is like kind of starting to talk amongst themselves and start to partake in the bourbon. And she says, Mr. Smallman, it is quite interesting to meet you. So strong, so tough, so worried about not being the best, not tall enough. Now, if I were to guess, what might be in your pocket right now? Might it be an acorn?
Is it the One Ring?
And as you say that, Popolina looks at you and she's like, "This ain't your turn, Misphi. Go on, get some bourbon."
Sorry.
Misphi, come on over here. The bourbon is great.
Stan slowly like pulls his hand from his pocket and reveals an acorn in his left palm.
Wow.
Now, Stan, you are such a sweet boy and it's so good to meet you. But you listen good. All these competitions you got into as a youth, even now trying to muscle your way in as the tallest or the strongest or the protector of that god-awful Meryl who we love and adore.
I can't win today. And he downs all of his brandy. He's having a tough moment.
You're trying to win some gold star to prove something, Stan. Your parents didn't disappear because of you. And you couldn't have stopped the threads of fate from weaving that particular outcome by being any different than you are. You got rage inside you. Good. Use it to protect your friends, to decimate your enemies. Stop being so concerned about being great when you can get angry and even instead. Also,
Wow.
Polly misses you. She sends her love. And she taps you on the side of the face, just like a nice little love smack on the side of the face.
Like you would a child.
And she's
I love that
like,
band.
and she turns off on the, Alfonzo, you better pour me a nice drink. It's Good
You
to
got
have
it.
you here.
You got it, Mama Witch.
We are learning a lot today, guys.
Please, Popolina. Popolina, it's good to meet you all.
It's good to meet you too.
Oh, sweet Misphi. Now, I know you aren't in my neck of the woods for my prophecies, so tell me what brings you over here.
This. And she holds up the Faewilde.
Oh, you got yourself an herb. Good for you.
I found it on the side road. Just
And she points to some daisies in a cup nearby. She's like, there's my redneck bouquet. You can add it to the flock.
The flock.
No, actually, one of the one in the barrel over there, she was using this herb.
And as you say that, Mama Witch pauses. Popolina pauses, and she's like, got the bourbon like halfway poured down her throat. And she's like, you did mention a barrel, didn't you? I'm sorry, Stan. I got so hung up on giving you all the information you needed. And she puts the bourbon down. She walks over and picks up with like a weird sense of like she has so much strength.
I love
She
that.
pours out the cocoa from the barrel and she's just like, huh. Now, am I imagining this, or do you happen to have an unconscious young elf among your midst? Is this intentional?
Yes.
Mostly.
Ask him.
You remember the wretched smell that you smelt upon our entrance?
Smelt.
No, Alfonzo Windbreaker. It was real awful. We don't need to relive that. I was trying to
Amen.
just
Right.
be polite.
Amen.
I've been living this since noon today because this fine young elf decided to piss on me in the barrel, in which then we had a little bit of a tussle.
She died.
Well, now
Almost.
she's undead, so it's
And now she's all right now.
Misphi shoved a berry in her mouth, and now she's mostly conscious, but she
the
did
goodness of
piss
my
on
heart.
Alfonso.
it's
He
been
got
a
pretty
long
upset.
day.
It's been
Interesting. Now,
Don't you,
do we
my
have a
friend.
name for this particular creature? I didn't
Her
see
name
much.
is Coco.
Oh. This is Coco. And she dumps her the rest of the way out. And
Do
you
you
can
know?
see her kind of picking, like taking her finger and just very gently picking through the fabrics that Coco's wearing, the cape and the belt and all of the different things. Oh.
Do you know much about Coco?
Oh. Well, now, Alfonso, I'm old and I'm a woman. So that means I pretty much know everything.
Amen, sister.
Amen.
And she takes the wood and spoon. She smacks your butt. She's like, I'm not your sister. Now,
Sorry, Mama Witch. Sorry.
Not just sister.
but this is very interesting. See, I've been looking for this Coco for quite a while now. She's
Well, we brought her
escaped
to
my
you.
notice. Did you happen to meet a happy hustler on the road?
Well,
Oh,
we did.
of course.
Holly.
Of course we did.
Oh, you met Holly, my sweet Holly. Now, Holly seemed to have a particular beef with this one, and I
We were
can't
informed.
quite blame her. See, Coco
We share
here.
this beef.
Coco
We share the beef.
is a-
the beef.
Sponsor us, Arby's.
She says, I'm so glad you met Holly on the road. Now, see, what you see here is a very young woman who was very unsmart, trying to pretend to be a happy hustler.
I knew it.
Know it.
She's not really a now.
She might be a hustler, but I don't think she's a happy hustler.
Now I'm not happy. She should be ashamed of herself.
Indeed, she's going to be a lot more ashamed. Thank you for bringing her to me alive.
What is your beef with her?
And she takes her hand and grabs the animal skulls that are around her waist and yanks them off unceremoniously, and then takes the skulls over to a workbench where she like starts to take the twine that was hanging them to the belt off and like very delicately hangs them next to the other skulls that she had in her capacity next to like the ink where she would draw symbols on them. And she's like, well, as I said, my girls call me the Pope. I happen to bless all the things that the girls sell and barter and trade. But now Coco, she was using our hoard's name for something that wasn't quite honorable. Now was she?
Were you a happy hustler?
Oh, sweetheart, I am not a happy hustler. I am the witch of the four corners. I'm the leader of the horde.
Oh.
I'm the master of crocheting, which isn't entirely relevant, but it's still impressive.
Yes.
She's a hooker.
Dude, that was crazy.
Popolina winks at you so hard, and she's like, that's my girl. So to answer your question,
Incredible.
Alfonso, am I a happy hustler?
Incredible.
No, I am the happy hustler. I'm the happiest of the hustlers.
Get her
I
girl.
Amen.
made the happy hustlers. I gave these girls a chance when they had none. And sweetheart, you don't want to see what we're about to do to this imposter.
Maybe I should have left her dead.
I'm glad we didn't.
As you hear Popolina say this to you,
She
also
has a dark side.
you see her, oh, thank you, take her hand and curl it around the robe of Coco, and she shakes and she kind of slaps her on her face.
I wanted to do that.
Get in line, sister. It's my turn. You had your shot.
Oh, yes, yes.
Well, I had my shot.
Yes, ma'am.
And as Coco kind of like rocks herself awake, you see her kind of register in a very dim sense, like where she's at. And then she locks eyes on Popolina, and you see her go even more ghostly pale than what you thought she could have been. She's like, Miss Popolina, Miss Pope, it's such a funny story. I've been meaning to meet you. And Popolina just stares unblinking at her, and she's like, oh, sweetheart, bless your heart.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Misphi eats her
That's
pie
not
faster.
Merle, that's never a good sign.
Meryl is like, each feather is trembling.
Alfonso looks at I assume it's a barrel of bourbon, but maybe a little barrel.
The bourbon is in a bottle.
He takes the bottle of bourbon, pours another shot, and slams it without a hitch.
As Popolina grabs her with like borderline inhuman strength and drags her out of a back door that you didn't really notice because it was behind the curtain, you hear Coco scream, Meryl, please don't leave me to the witch. And you hear just screams and screams and screams for a solid 45 seconds, and then absolute deafening silence.
From where she is, would she be able to overhear our conversations?
No.
Guys, I'm pretty sure she just killed Coco. Should we go check on her? Is it too late? I guess, are we, like when the screaming starts, can we have like that 45 seconds to like experience that in the moment? Or is it like too late?
Like, you mean to be able to save Coco?
I don't know. I just like, she started screaming, like, obviously we're like hearing and seeing this happen. Can we have some time to react, or is it like we're all just frozen the whole time, like in shock?
Here's what you're able to do. You're able to go outside the door and essentially investigate what Popolina is doing. And you can try to see what Popolina is doing.
I'd like to roll for investigation.
Go ahead.
14 plus, so 15.
15. Is anybody else also investigating with?
I don't want to see
Alfonso.
anything that's happening out there. In fact,
I'll
I've
go
hidden
with
under Merle's
Alfonso.
wings.
Yeah, Meryl.
You're going to have to stay here, unfortunately. I'm nuzzled under your wings, and I'm not going
You're gonna like
to.
tug on him a little bit, be like, don't go anywhere.
TJ like kind of has his arm around
Meryl is
Misphi,
just-
like pulling him behind her.
Yeah, Meryl is just like kind of like wide-eyed and like blinking and like clutching his glass and just sort of sitting there.
Okay. All right. So as Alfonso, as you go out the back door, it creaks as you exit. You hear nothing but like an eerie silence where screams had previously been. And you see a garden that's like a beautiful herb garden. It doesn't really seem like much to you. You don't really see, like, understand. Like, you can recognize
Coco
a
is
couple things
fertilizer.
from your time in the woods and things like kind of help people stay alive. But the rest of it seems just like really odd plants to you.
Odd plants, like they're not.
Plants.
Well, are they ones that she would use for like herbal remedies and potions and things?
You have no idea.
Ah,
Because like you're just not like super fluent in herbs unless
is
you want to, how about this? Roll for,
would that be nature?
yeah, we'll say nature.
Well, I know nothing
Nature
about
or
nature.
survival or medicine.
Actually, I have a nat 20, so
Whoa!
apparently I know all
He knows everything about nature, actually.
Gosh.
So here's what we're gonna
crazy.
say with
I
that
can
nat
actually-
20.
I cannot identify trees at all, but I apparently know these herbs that are in this garden.
So you're able to recognize with that nat 20 things that will harm you or things that will heal you, but nothing else. Okay. So you're not
Okay.
able to identify things that you've literally never come across before because a nat 20 still has its limitations. But you're able to identify that there are, there's probably a quarter of the plot of herbs that seems to be dedicated to poisons, that seem to be dedicated to things that will harm the user as opposed to heal the user. Probably half of them dedicated to healing herbs, and then about a quarter of them dedicated to herbs that really just season food, or just seem to like things like aloe that kind of help with burns and just general vibes. Things that smell good, things that look good. That's like your general plot of the earth with that nat 20. Which is quite amazing that you're able to even see that. And it might be just because you're trying to avoid the sight in front of you that
Which is?
enables you to be able to study the plants. The interesting thing is about 10 yards away from the edge of this garden is where the blood splatter starts.
Oh,
And you're able to see what starts as slight freckles with your elven eyesight, slight red dots of arterial spray.
Great band name.
Your side note, amazing band name.
Amazing band name. I'm
Can
so
we,
sorry.
like
Keep
heavy
going.
metal arterial spray. There's probably one already there. They might have
out to
made
you
us a bunch.
if not copyrighted
So
by me.
you see the arterial spray kind of covering like a white dusting of flowers.
Of course.
There's a white copse of just like flowers of varying varieties, and they're covered with red spray that looks almost like a dusting of pink but you and your elven eyesight can see the red coagulated blood as almost like the blood is trying to stop itself from spraying. As you get closer to the form that is hitched on top of the Scarecrow's heighted mound, you're able to see hanging there by her arms, her shoulders, even by her neck, as Popolina is hammering in the final long nails that she had on hand. Coco's prone form. Is prone the right word? Because prone seems to be
Prone is like
down.
laid down.
Yeah, so her strung up form as she's aspirating blood from where she's hung. And she says, please, Popolina. And Popolina hammers twice and says, "Ow, darling, you know better than to beg a witch. If I'm not mistaken, these skulls that I pulled from your waist that you stole from one of my girls shows that you know exactly what you were tussling with. Well, that's all right, sweetheart, because you see, I'm a collector of skulls, and you happen to have the perfect skull for my perfect happy hustler. So say, because I'm going to be able
in
to
the
use
midst of-
twice of that."
So before she like, as this is going down, like as soon as Alfonso's like, this is not good. Like,
Wow.
I'm gonna run back, like kind of like run back in the house like real quick and be like, guys, we gotta go outside right now.
What?
Why?
Like, it's not good. You need to see for yourself very quickly. And then I run back in, run back out, and I think I'm gonna run up to
So much running.
yeah. Well, kind of panicking at the moment. I'm not opposed to violence, but this seems like something else. So I run up to Mama Witch and be like, wait.
By the time you say, after you have run inside and then run back outside and said, wait, Mama Witch has tied off the strings of her apron and untied them. They are covered in sinew and blood and fibers of skin. And she unhooks them, and you see that Coco is no longer breathing. She's no longer moving. And not only that, but there are various contraptions holding her to this scarecrow stance that is hanging above the herb garden. And you see that Mama Witch has turned and tilted her head. How are you doing, Alfonso? Did you get yourself some bourbon? And as she says that, she takes her knife and just casually cuts a nick in the leg of Coco and pulls a bottle from her cloak and starts collecting Coco's blood from that nick in her leg. And it's like, did you save me some pecan pie? Because I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of pecan pie, especially bourbon pecan pie. And as she says this, she's just got probably about a quarter of the bottle filled with blood.
Oh yeah. It was great. Yeah, there's definitely, we only had a few slices out of it. We each got our own share. We were actually hoping to talk to Coco a little bit before you finished your business with her.
Oh, that is unfortunate. And she just kind of shakes the leg a little bit as like a clock kind of comes along and just shakes it out. Oh, that's a shame. I can see what I can try to gather from her memories, but it might be a little bit difficult, but I'll see what I can do.
We would really appreciate if you could see what, I mean, by all means, she had it coming, but
He's really handling this well.
yeah. But you know, yeah, we still had some questions for that. So if you could just help us out in that way, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Now, why don't you go on inside? I'll be in just a second. I just gotta clean myself up and gather some more of this lovely, lovely offerings from our lovely Coco here. But I'd love to talk with you in just a moment. Just give me a second to clean on up,
That'd
okay?
be great.
What kind
Misphi
of Jordan Peele movie is this?
True.
That was
Literally
crazy.
Misphi
Whoa.
peeks over Alfonso's shoulder, is like, is that what the bourbon is made out of?
Oh, darling, no.
Oh, good.
Thanks to gods above.
No, that's how I make...
What about the pecan pie? Is that actually...
No, darling. Oh,
Okay.
please. No, that's what the ink is made out of. No, no, I don't eat this. I'm not a...
smart.
Tan-
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. As you know, leave nothing to waste. Leave nothing to waste. So as she finishes up, Coco is completely pale. She's a complete corpse at this point.
She's dead.
Very drained.
Drained.
Her eyes are open and very like haunted looking, like a film has gone over them in death. And she is hanging on the scarecrow's hook. And from
She's not off the hook yet.
No!
and
happened to no
Paulina
consequences?
takes the bottle and just like stoppers the bottle, and it's like seems to be very proud of herself of like the amount that she got. Oh, that's pretty good. It's all in a day's work. She comes inside and she tucks it in underneath like one of the benches, and she's like, now I seem to have a couple questions for you, but I'm so sorry for that. But I had to deal with a couple things. See, some of my happy hustlers have been telling me about some Coco, and it's just the whole thing. We got to make sure we take care of our people, right? You know, you
It
understand.
seems like you have a lot of built up anger.
Oh, sweetheart, I don't have a lot of built up anything other than osteoporosis.
Oh.
You see, bourbon does a miracle as far as that's concerned. But no, I just do my
Osteoporosis.
normal thing. I knit, I crochet, I bake, and I drain the blood of traitors. It's just, a normal Tuesday.
Hey, man. Put that right on a
I like that
t-shirt.
it's now Tuesday.
Slap that onto a t-shirt.
I thought it was Friday.
Oh,
I always
cooking.
think it's Friday, don't you? You know?
Sweetheart, I'm retired. Nobody keeps track of the days when you're retired. Now, listen up. I've got some questions. So we figured out that you said you brought Faewilde. Is that
Yep.
correct?
We did.
Yep.
Now, why did you bring Faewilde? What does that have to do with anything?
Because Coco was using it in her Coco.
Her drink that she would make and sell to the people of Fellerstone, which would then make people susceptible to
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller curse.
Oh, I was never able to figure out how they went about doing that, but that makes sense because it is an elven herb, and those dwarves are not particularly ability to be able to suss out what the Faewilde even looks like. So this is wonderful that you brought me a sample, girly.
You're welcome. I just
Oh.
found it.
Right on
Just
the road.
growing
It just
right there.
It just
Find it.
grew there.
Right there. How crazy is that?
that?
It's supposed to be rare.
A lot of odd things have happened today, though, to be fair.
That's fascinating. This is just a bundle of joy today. My goodness.
You're telling us.
Getting so much accomplished.
I feel like you're releasing so many things in this character. I love that for you.
This is like the dark side of Brandy.
This
that
is
we
so
haven't
good
heard
for you
yet.
right now.
Coco's such a little shit.
You know, we gave me a hard time for taking out Coco, but I
No,
think it
we
was
still,
really,
it's still not okay.
I don't know. I think I'm off the hook here.
No,
Well, she's
neither
on
is
us,
she.
so-
Yeah. So, I don't know.
So as she
Chad's
pulls
gonna
the
be sad.
Faewilde from you, she's like, well, I got my 2 cauldrons a little bit occupied at the moment, but let me see if I have something under here. And she starts to kind of rummage in some like underneath some cupboards and such, and she finds. She's able to find an extra cauldron kind of tucked in the back. It's a small thing. She starts kind of pouring in a couple of different liquids from a shelf with like various labels on it. So, I guess I forgot to ask you all. My boy is town, the mining camp. Did they all get de-Rockefellered yet? I couldn't quite figure it out myself. You figure it out?
That's a
not,
touchy
everyone.
subject.
not particularly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Some had, but some had not. We left in haste after people began to de-Rockefeller, but we're really not sure, but probably not. We know at least a couple people that hadn't made it out.
What about my boy's best friend, Jimbo? Did he make it out?
That
No.
would be a no.
Not as far as we know.
unfortunately.
This has now been since yesterday, but it wasn't looking good when we
it's
left.
quite chaotic over there right now. People are scared.
But you were able to get some people de-Rockefellered.
Some, yes.
So what caused it? Because I couldn't quite put my nose on that.
Well, we know that the Faewilde has a factor, but then something to do with the soul stone that is in the mountain that the mining camp is associated with. There's something to do with something about like the power of the soul stone and the Faewilde and the cocoa that people were drinking. Basically created a deadly mix of the Rockefeller curse,
And that's what Coco was putting in her cocoa.
Interesting.
which now you scarecrowed her, so she's not a problem anymore.
She's
Oh.
a Scarecrow Coco.
Scare Coco.
Scarecrow Coco.
Oh. And her eyes do that glazed over thing that they do whenever you
this again.
first came in the door and she first met you. And she sniffs again as she is like regaining memories from someone else that isn't her. And she says, "Oh, that is interesting."
What do you see, seer?
This just got a whole lot more interesting. And that's where we'll end the episode today.
Wow. Cliffhanger hanging from a cliff.
Good job, honey.
Scarecrow
That's why
Coco.
he's called Cliffhanger.
Scarecrow Coco.
Scarecrow Coco.
Scarecrow Coco. Rococo.
So thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of Mystical Everyday Heroes.
No, Brandy. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm just going to pretend like I took like a very eloquent bow.
Because it's that thankful time of year.
It really
It is
is
the
because
thankful
it
time.
And
is.
we're so thankful for you because this is so great.
We're really thankful for not only you, but like all of the countries that have been listening in to Mystical Everyday Heroes. Like we are
We
in
are really thankful about
the
that.
UK, we're in Asia, we're in South America, we're in
That's
Africa.
crazy.
We're in Russia.
We're in, like we're in Australia.
Russian
We're
followers?
literally in almost every single
Sweet.
continent.
You guys are doing all
at
right.
this
That's
point.
crazy.
So I just want to thank all of you. So not only thankful for all of you who are listening, but thank you for all of you who are sharing with your friends and telling them how amazing we are, because we would not have reached this level of growth without you.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. So we want to leave you guys with not only our thanks, but a little bit of clickable activity. So first of all, our links to social media. Kailyn, can you hit us with those links?
Click, click.
That really threw me off.
Sorry.
Anyway, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok at Mystical Everyday Heroes, all spelled out.
Awesome. And you can also get, buy my book. I'm thankful for my book.
Yeah.
The Archivist Apprentice, which
Buy
is in
that
the
book.
link below. If you love fantasy like all D&Ders do, definitely buy my book. It is in the description below. Also, links if you love the music that's playing in the background of this vocalization. Check out Matt Boston's music. He is our sound producer, and he is an amazing musician.
Matt.
So if you want some music for your own D&D podcast, definitely check this out. It's available on all of the main music streaming apps. So thank you so much, and join us in the next 2 weeks for our very next episode of what happens after Mama Witch gets her hands on our players. Da-da-da-da.
Not in a hot way.
Did I ever give a fun fact?
Yes, and it took 7 minutes.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was like, holy shit, why do I feel like, because I had thought of a different one, it just came back to me.
Oh, write it down because you're going to need it for the next episode.
Great. Ready. Anyway, I'm sorry.